my name is Patrick, and this is to tell you about paper strategy to ace XAT exam. So XAT is an exam which is going to be held, and what should be your paper strategy? I mean, technically the paper strategy will differ from person to person based on what you're targeting. For example, if you're targeting colleges which does not have sectional cutoffs, in which case your focus should be just to maximize the score. That means you will maybe, if you're weak in quant, for example, you find quant tough, you will solve maybe all of DM and all of verbal and focus on those two areas to try to maximize your marks and a few marks in quant wherever possible. That's what, because then you're focusing on overall maximum marks. So look at the colleges you're targeting. As I said, if you're targeting colleges without any sectional cutoffs, then focus on maximize the score. So whichever area you're strong at, try to maximize the score in those areas. And you can leave the weak area. If you have time, you can solve the weak areas. Okay. But if you're targeting XLRI, then I'll talk to you about strategy regarding the same. Right. Now, if I look at a paper pattern, okay, we're looking at this is XAT 20D paper pattern. XAT 24 paper pattern, we don't know exactly, though it has changed. I mean, if it was last year 165 minutes, now it is 175 minutes, the paper pattern, if you look at it, right? So the paper pattern has changed to some extent, right? But the sections will remain the same. So verbal logic, decision making, and content DI will remain the same, but the paper pattern will change. So now this year it is 175 minutes. This was XAT 24. For XAT 24, it is 175 minutes, right? Each section they have said is 20 to 30 questions. Now, why I'm saying that the number of questions will change? Because if you look at last year, there were 76 questions which were there in verbal, decision making, and quant. If you look at these three areas, that is verbal, decision making, and quant, there were total 76 questions plus 25 questions GK. So that itself goes to above 100 questions. But this year they very clearly mentioned that the number of questions is not going to exceed 100. Which means there will be a small change in the number of questions. What? It can be only one question change here and there, but yes, there could be a small change. But yes, they clearly mentioned that each section will have 22 to 30 questions. That means each section, minimum number of questions will be 22, right? And yeah, maximum can be 30. So it will range from 20 to 30. Right. So now, again, there are three sections of paper: verbal, decision making, and quant. Okay, the sections remain the same. Paper 2 will have GK and essay, that will also remain the same. The first section, they will increase the paper time to 175 minutes. Okay, second part is 30 minutes. Now coming to the strategy of the paper. Now, my normal recommendation is if you are aiming for top college like XLRI, etc., where sectional cutoffs are important, in that case, you should focus on clearing the cutoffs first. So I normally say that first 2 hours which is there, if you add this up, it comes to almost 2 hours. Okay, focus on clearing the cutoff. I given tentative time that is required to clear the cutoff, but it will differ from person to person. So if you feel you're very weak in quant, maybe you'll give more time for quant to clear the cutoffs. Okay, if you feel you're weak in verbal, you may give more time for verbal to clear the cutoffs. So first 2 hours, try to focus on clearing the cutoffs, but stick to the time limits. That means in verbal, I would rather focus on non-RC questions, assuming that non-RC are you can solve it fast. Or any question that takes time, I will skip it for second round. I will first solve all the questions that does not take time. Okay, technically that almost all questions do take time, but relatively those questions which does not take time, I will try to solve them first. And whichever questions which I take a longer time, like long RCs or something like parajumbles, maybe if it takes time, I may keep it for the second round. Same with DM. If there are questions that take time, I mean, there are some questions which are calculation intensive possible. There's some question where the passage is long, but only 1 or 2 questions. In that case, put it for the second. But questions that are comparatively which you can solve in the first round. So take 40 minutes and try to solve as many DM questions as possible in the 40 minutes given. Same way, quant I given more time because quant is in a slightly tougher section. So 50 minutes in terms of trying to clear the cutoff. Again, I say you have to vary this time, but try to stick to the 2 hours to clear the cutoff. The first 2 hours, going through the entire paper, solving the easy questions and trying to clear the cutoff. That should be a goal in the first 2 hours. Okay. Now, once again, I say first round, focus on the easy and medium ones. So if you look at easy, medium questions, okay, and anything that you feel that will take time, please mark it. I mean, I normally what I do is I take a paper and write down the question numbers. So I know in the second round I have to come back to these questions. First round I may leave it because it takes time. But second round, I will come back to these questions and solve. So write down the question number or mark for review as it goes and try to solve. Now remaining time which is there, which is 55 minutes. So 25 minutes, what you can do is try to look at those questions or that section which you feel you may not clearly cut off. Maybe for some reason you were not able to solve too many questions in quant, or for some reason you were not able to do well in DM. You feel, then spend that 25 minutes on those sections which you feel that you will not be able to clearly cut off. So you can give extra time and try to clear the section cut off. Then last 30 minutes, I would say maximize your score because you need high scores also. So assuming that you're comfortable, assuming in that 25 minutes you are comfortable in clearing the cutoffs. Okay, then in the last 30 minutes, try to maximize your score. Focus on those areas which you're strong at and try to maximize the score. Understand you need to balance between sectional cutoff to overall marks because we have seen in XAT more is the overall mark, the higher the chance of conversion. So ensure that you try to also maximize the score apart from trying to clear the sectional cutoffs. So as I said, this is a broad framework in terms of how to solve. First two ask, clear the sectional cutoffs. I mentioned some time, but you can vary that time based on your comfort level. Also, only sort of easy ones, mark the other ones which you want to solve in the second term. Next 25 minutes, focus on that section which you feel you're not comfortable clearing sectional cutoff. Last 30 minutes, maximize the score. This is a strategy. Again, I said strategy will vary. Avoid question that takes long time and the first round very clear. I mean, technically all question takes long round, but relatively if you see any question which is really long, which will take long time, like long RC and maybe only 2 or 3 questions, or maybe a long question which you are not able to understand, leave it the first round. Okay, again I said avoid lengthy RC and DM sets. You can come back to them in the second round because reading them itself will take you a long time. So avoid that in the first round. Focus on first round to clear the cutoff, as I said. You can vary the time limits based on your strengths and weakness, okay? And do intelligent guessing because negative marks are non-attempting. So my recommendation is if you can shortlist 2 options, you can mark one and move forward. Do intelligent guessing because if you leave too many questions unattempted, that will lead to some negative mark because of not attempting as such. Right? So this is a strategy to be followed generally. But as I said, strategy could vary. If you're targeting colleges without sectional cutoffs, focus on maximize the score overall instead of sectional cutoffs. Right? All the best for the exam and do well.